good morning. How are you? Another Thursday. So here we are, and today we are going to talk about communities and change. Um, I'm sure you might belong to a community, even if it's virtual, or I mean on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, or any other social network, or maybe you belong to a community in person. I mean, through meetups or other communities that may be run in your place, in your location. So I've been thinking about some questions that I want to address today. If I have uh, the time during these 20 minutes approximately, we are used to talk. So one of the things I was thinking was why do we actually create these communities? Why do they exist? Why do we need communities? Do we need them? That was something I was thinking about. Do we really need communities? Well, the fact that they are around us means that we actually need them. I mean, we as human beings, maybe not you specifically, or not me for certain communities, but I think we do need them because communities are a great space for us to be able to gather information, also to share information we have, to share our ideas, our thoughts. Sometimes there are more participative communities. There are some others that are just there to lurk and to just go around and know about things that are happening in a community. And there are some people that are more active and also sharing and commenting and giving the results, sharing their ideas and thoughts. Um, so why are communities created basically? Well, because we need that. We need to be able to share or to understand others or to know what others are thinking. That's why we have also books, right? Because uh, at ancient times or even now, we don't have the capacity or the time sometimes to be able to many communities, to be active in many communities. So we want to know about something and we go to the library and find a book and gather a book. So basically they are for sharing information and thoughts and practices and all those kind of things we like to have around. And sometimes we are just part of a community because we want to learn about something we don't know anything about, or we want to, I don't know, maybe just know what's going around in our industry or in our profession. And sometimes there are others that want to only share what they know, or or sometimes they ideas, and that's valid too. So that's why there are communities around. And basically because people are joining to the communities. Otherwise there would be no community at all, right? So if you are not part of any community, uh, that's a valid option, of course. But I think we are all part of some community, even if we don't actually know about it. Um, well, that's in the case we could get to a level of a synonym between community and society. We are all part of the same, even if we don't think about it. Well, maybe that society is not the same as community, but well, at certain level we could compare those two. And um, if you want to be part of a community, of if you want to know about what's going on in your market, in your industry, it's good to be around a community because there are people who share things going around, and you may have an idea of what's new, what's coming, what's the future of your industry, and it can also give you some ideas, some questions, some thoughts, some insights for you to reflect on the topic you are interested or the topic of the community. So I would say that one of the characteristics, or several of the characteristics of communities, are that they share things, as we were saying. They have a location where they meet. It could be virtual, I mean, through online, via the internet, or maybe it can be in a certain place. There are some communities that like to stay in a certain place, to gather and, I don't know, have dinner, to be around, have a beer, have a coffee, and talk about things. There are communities that are organized within organizations to create that sense of gathering, of sharing, and also participating, communicating. There are some other places where they just different people for totally different areas just gather around a certain topic or idea. The main thing the communities have is that you usually have a topic in common or an idea in common, something you want to solve or you want just to talk about. Um, so communities are just for that, or maybe a belief, for example, religious communities, or I don't know. There are other communities that also have the same belief. For example, some of the communities I participate in, um, or I used to participate more often in the actual community, for example, and there we share topics about that, how we can improve the methods of organizations, and how can we, I don't know, be better facilitators and those kind of things. And you can be, as I said before, more active or less active depending of the time or your personal growth, and that kind of thing. Um, but it is actually good to know that you are in a place that your ideas, your values, your beliefs are similar to other people, and then you can also share information that you know will be valued or maybe will be criticized and constructed in another way. So that's good to know that you'll be there. I'm having Mati here once again. So, of course, as I said, it's good to be in a community, and it's also good to be part of the community and have a relationship with other people that think in a similar way. But sometimes communities, I don't know about your community or the community you're participating in, but sometimes when people is gathering and they have similar ideas and thoughts, we tend to create a pattern, which is also good because at first you create a movement of change through this community. You get a pattern of thought, you get an idea, a general idea, and maybe some practices, and you have also, um, I don't know, like certain patterns that go around, and people think in a similar way. You have this beehive thought, um, which is also at the same time, or when the movement has started, maybe you need to bring information or ideas from different communities, so you don't only have to share about the things that you are the main topic of the community, but also to see how you can relate other topics to this community and make it grow, because otherwise you are just staying in a plain level of this understanding is the one we have. And well, maybe you want to keep that level of knowledge, of I don't know, of growth, and that's a valid option too. But if you want to keep on growing and keep on defining the statu quo, keeping on growing, thinking new things, and becoming more creative, and I don't know, implemented or experimenting with new practices and those kind of things, you have to actually be able to get away of that beehive thinking, as I was saying, thinking just one entity, or feeling too attached to that identity you have formed, and you have to bring new things to the table. So One of the things I actually encourage you to do if you have a community is to ask more questions to people so they can actually think for themselves. It's something I love to do. I'm not sure if my thinking is the right one, and I don't think it is. So if you ask questions, you can actually get ideas from other people and they can contribute with their own thoughts. And even if there are some contrarians, it's actually a good thing, a good sign, because you can reflect on the things they are saying and you can actually learn something new. If you are just all thinking the same thing, there is no actual progress for your community. So I heard a quote that I usually tend to repeat because I love that quote. And it says, if you are the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room. So if you don't get this idea of discussion, of progression, of getting new things to the table, of getting a person that's contrarian to what you are thinking and can actually express it in a respectful and good way, or sometimes they don't have that quality, but you also can learn from them in some aspects. And if you get criticized of you heard of different things, you can actually introduce them into the table and think, okay, what can we do with this? Does this actually mean something for us? Can we how could we work with this new idea that's been popping up, or it's been brought to the table by something who is actually a contrarian, or a person that is against what you think. So that would be one of the things I would like to for you to think if you have a community or if you belong to a community. Maybe if there is no one getting those new ideas, just ask them to join. If you see somebody else who's got different ideas, or maybe from a different community, a different industry, you can ask them to join you and to tell something that's maybe totally different from what you do, but you can actually learn and maybe translate that into your work, into your community, into your ideas. So experiment and try new things, as I always say, and be open to new ideas. Don't just close up to your community, because when you close your community down to certain thoughts or certain ideas, you are very likely to be dead as a community in a few years' time. You know, with this whole constantly changing world and things, we need to be able to stay awake and to stay open for new ideas to come in. Otherwise, entropy, as you know, systems that are closed tend to die because of entropy. They are constantly degrading, and if you don't open that little window for new ideas, your community may die also. So that's something I was thinking about and wanted to share with you. Um, and regarding change specifically, while communities, as I said, sometimes you have a beehive thought in general. You think as one. You have an identity. You have a common pattern of thought. That's not necessarily totally bad, because it can also help you start a movement, as I mentioned. And you can actually, when you start this movement, at first you need a critical mass of people to be able to gather them and to also create some force, I would say, some force in a way of uh, getting a contagious idea, a contagious force. So other people can join you, and when you get this critical mass, movement is a start. So other people start to look at your community, or to your ideas, and they start to think and say, wow, that's interesting. Maybe I can get something from that. And it also starts to move and and you get to share your ideas, and other people is coming and other are criticizing, and you're also growing all the time. So that's a way you and your community can impact the world, right? You can start by sharing your ideas. Maybe others will be behind you. Some others will be aside of you. Some others will be in the front. It doesn't matter. The idea is that you share your thing, and I'm sure others will follow, right? As you have followed sometimes others, and you are still following maybe others, because we can all relate to other people and other people's thoughts and ideas, um, and creations, and that's how movements are started. So um, I would like to know what comes to your mind after everything I've said. um, I think I've left aside, and now I will elaborate a bit more on this. I wanted actually to say um, about engagement in the communities. As I was saying, you need a critical mass for it to start um, growing and moving and getting this contagious continual movement. Um, if you don't have, if people are not engaged with the ideas of the community, with the topic, maybe you need to work a bit more on that, and to start spreading your word and helping others also spread their words about this topic. And another thing you can do is, first of all, you don't have to be afraid of doing that. Or if you are afraid, just do it anyway. Just share your thoughts. That's courage, actually. It's not being brave and being the one to do things, but just do it anyway, no matter how you feel, or what your thoughts are about yourself, about others, if you will be criticized, and those kind of things. Just do it, and after that, results will come, because you have started this movement. You have started to share things, and some others will come and will also share their thing, and that's how communities are started. So if you can engage people, and you can help them spread also their ideas, you start creating this community, and you start creating this sense of trust, because when you are in a community, uh, of course you can set your rules in the community. I would suggest that you do them positive rules. I mean, uh, that people can share the things, that they can actually express themselves and be able to criticize you if you don't like something, which is very, very positive for a community. Uh, of course, you can do otherwise. You can set rules that nobody's allowed to do X or Y and Z, and that's perfect too, because that's nice. But that's another community I prefer not to talk about. So um, once you create that, people in the room, I mean, in the community, they feel they can trust everybody else, not just you that maybe just started, but then you may also quit, and the community can still grow on its own. So a sense of trust is built up in the community. Also, they sometimes feel protected, especially if you create those kind of rules. As I was saying, everybody will be only criticized in a constructive way. Um, and people also feel that they can share things, they can actually grow themselves, because that's the idea. It's not the idea that you, the creator of the community, grow alone, because that would be not a community, just a, I don't know, another thing. I wouldn't call it a community. um, and so I think communities also impact the world in that sense, that you are trying to grow, people in the community are trying to grow and try to get new ideas and share the thing, uh, to empower them also. They empower each other, of course. You don't have to actually do a thing, but yes, to create this environment where everybody feels safe enough to share the things. So safety, I would say, is one of the good values to have for your community. Mm. And also from time to time to be capable of define your own thoughts and other people's in the community, and to be open for them to share the thing. So, well, that said, those values, if I have to sum them up, I would say um, have the capacity to be open enough, to be open enough to receive feedback, even if it's a critic. Um, and also give feedback if you are asked to. I wouldn't recommend giving feedback if you are not asked for feedback. So keep in mind that. Um, Also, another thing could be um, helping people change for the better. If you can, first change yourself, and then maybe others will follow, or other will be more interested in how your change were made, and ask you about that. Um, to create a sense of community, you have also defined the statu quo of the community itself. So be present in those kind of things. There are three. I would say those are the three most important I consider for your community, right? And another thing I will add, that's an extra. Um, don't be just part of one community. Of course, if you don't have time, maybe you prefer to focus on one thing. But if you are part of the community, it's also good to bring new things to the table. So be part of different communities, or have different ideas in mind, and maybe look the way to make them a fit somehow, or to make them part of the puzzle, and bring them to the table and try to see, I have learned this from another community, another industry, another profession, and I would like to see how to bring that into this community. How could we take something from this and build another thing, or maybe I don't know, just extrapolate that to make our community better, or greater, or grow. So if you have new ideas on this topic we've been discussing, I've been talking about, um, please do comment and tell what you think about this. And also be ready for, uh, if you want to, um, we are working in this community that's called Creativity and Tools, that you can subscribe from the page here. The topics we are talking about are curiosity, some curious things, creativity, of course, what's the name, some tools that we are giving on Fridays about facilitation in general, and there are some also things about language, knowledge, learning, those kind of things we are talking about, and the way that we think as people. So if you are interested in those topics, please do enter our community, and you are, of course, most than welcome. There are a lot of people talking about things there and sharing their thing, and that's kind of interesting. We are just starting, but I am confident enough that there will be so many people sharing and talking about this, and in a few more weeks. So have fun, enjoy your weekend, your Friday tomorrow, and have a good week, and see you next Saturday. Bye bye.